Speaker is Dr. Diego Martinez. He is the managing director of the European Solaris. He will, of course, talk about it. So EU-SOLARIS ERIC he has the role to establish and operate the world-class distribution research infrastructure on concentrated solar power, CSP. All what I know about it. So, but I know Dr. Plaza. We worked together in Qatar. I was the director of his group. Now he is the director of his own group in this EU project. And he's a very, believe me, he's a very polite person. And he said, when you ask him to help, he do it very fast and in a very perfect way. In a very perfect way.
Thank you.
So that's why he will talk about. He changed his topic. So the topic today is different. He will tell us about the EU-SOLARIS ERIC, and I will give him the floor. And I want to thank him very much, not only for being here in this conference, but also for the time we spent together in Qatar, and all the work he did. When I asked him to do something, he was a really amazing person, and really, really thank you very much, Diego Martinez, for all the time we had together. I think it was 2 years in Qatar.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, Ahmed.
So the floor is yours.
Okay, so I think what I have to do now is let's proceed. Well, concentration uses direct normal irradiance. As you all know, there is a lot of this kind of energy getting to Earth's surface continuously, but the density is low. So what we do is to concentrate it with mirrors. As a very silly example, if you use 5,000 square meter heliostats and you reflect and concentrate all this energy into 25 square meter, you get a 200 concentration ratio. With the energy, with this concentration here, you can reach temperatures over 1,000 degrees, for instance, and allows you to do to get several applications. The most important, or perhaps the one which is known widely, is electricity generation, concentrating solar power, like the plant you have there in Morocco, NOR. But also in the last years, it is getting more interest, the industrial process heat. For example, the picture on the right side is an enhanced oil recovery plant in Oman, where they inject steam, solar steam, into the underground to ease the extraction of oil. But like this, there are many applications, okay? As you know, there are 4 technologies available. They all use the same principle: mirrors tracking the sun, concentrate the energy onto a receiver, where you heat up a fluid with which you can do from electricity generation to many other applications. But it has pros and cons. On the good side, we have that it's a technology with a high potential for local supply and creation of jobs, because it's mostly based on steel and glass and components that are commonly available on every country, like pumps, compressors, all these kind of things. I mean, the thermal energy you generate can be stored, let's say, in a cheap way. So at the very end, the electricity you can produce is dispatchable. It's available whenever you need it, even at night. And even there can be how to say, a benefit for other renewables, allowing them to integrate into the grid, giving a stability to the grid. Can be it can be hybridized with natural gas or even other renewables like photovoltaics or geothermal energy. And well, I know that the main drawback is that the LCOE is still too high, but we are at the beginning of the learning curve, and there is a huge potential to improve and reduce costs. This is a view of a typical system of thermal energy storage, relying on molten salts. And this is a $30 per kilowatt hour capacity. This figure is old-fashioned, probably now is cheaper. So you can manage the energy you collect in such a way that you can achieve a more or less constant delivery of energy to the grid. On the bad side, well as photovoltaics, it is sensitive to dust soiling, obviously. And you know, the best places around the world for these technologies also used to be very dusty places. Another problem for CSP is that it needs a lot of water. This could somehow be linked to the former presentation. There is a link between energy and water in this case. We need quite a lot of water for the energy generation. Another problem is that, as I said, we use only the direct normal radiation, not global horizontal like the PV. And as I said before, LCOE for the moment is still higher than PV or wind. This is the typical wet cooling system, like in a conventional fossil fuel plant. And this is the alternative, which is dry cooling using fans and air. But the bad side of this is that there is a higher parasitic consumption to power these fans. Okay, so it is clear that it is necessary to go for more research to develop further technological solutions. And as you may know, as well as in Morocco, in several European countries, there are efforts they are conducting efforts to make research on the technology, particularly in the Mediterranean basin, Spain, Italy, Greece, etc. So that we have used a legal figure created by the European Commission for the erection of large strategic research infrastructures. Okay, this figure is called an ERIC, an European Research Infrastructure Consortium. You can use this figure to build a huge single-sited facility, like the CERN, for instance, or you can build a distributed site facility, like we did. So this legal figure, accepted by all countries around the European Union, has full legal capacity, is exempted from taxes. You have some flexibility. It's a fast process. I will explain later. And you have some, as I said, you have some flexibility to adopt your own procedures. The only requirements is that must be mostly, and I'll explain later, European joint venture. You must commit to provide access to your facilities to external users, not members of the consortium. You must contribute to the mobility of knowledge and researchers, and you must contribute to the dissemination and optimization of the results. All these conditions are considered in our statutes. So this is, very briefly, this is a map of the headquarters of the 28 ERICs already active in Europe. Each one is oriented to a specific topic. Here is EU-SOLARIS, the seat is in Almería, Plataforma Solar de Almería, and they are classified into different themes. We are in the energy area. You want to learn more about this ERIC landscape, you can visit this website. So this has been a bureaucratic process, and as all bureaucratic processes has taken a lot of time, we started moving this on year 2010 and successfully finished on 2023 with a constitutive meeting. And this is a picture of that meeting at CMAT premises in Madrid. And so the four original members, the four founding members are Spain, France, Germany, and Cyprus. And we have now two observers, Portugal and Greece. But let me insist on my explanation of what is EU-SOLARIS ERIC, because for my own experience, I know it is difficult to catch the concept. First, I will explain what is not EU-SOLARIS. It's not a project, it's not a company, and it's not a network, okay? It's not a project with a defined starting day and finishing date with a budget, blah, blah, blah. What it is a consortium of countries, partners are the countries, focused on the joint development of the research infrastructures around that topic, in this case, concentrating solar. What we do, well, we have the advantage of that we are a legal entity, we can apply to Horizon Europe calls. This is a very important thing because it is our most important source of funding. This is the program of research infrastructures, where most of the calls we can apply to are gathered. So, how is it funded, this consortium of countries? Well, at the statutes, it is stipulated that every country, every member country, will contribute 20,000 euro per year, which is not that much. We get our own funding participating in Horizon Europe projects. As I said, we have been quite successful since year 2023. And Spain, as the statutory seat, is contributing in kind the services of the managing director, which is me, and hosts the central hub at PSA in Almería. So we use PSA premises for free. This is the map of the countries, those who are already in, those who are observers, and those that we expect to join us in the coming months or years. Sorry. So this slide is particularly of interest for Morocco, perhaps, I think, because here we say that member states of the European Union, associated countries, but also third countries and intergovernmental organizations may become members or observers of the ERIC. For instance, Turkey has been involved from the very beginning, and sooner or later will join us, and it has this label as a third country. So what I mean here is that, well, Morocco is one of the few CSP countries around the world, and I see a good opportunity for Morocco to join this consortium to boost the research and the research infrastructure for CSP research. So all these partners must be represented by a public entity, let's say, kind of ministerial representative or secretary general or whatever, something in this level. Again, it is not a consortium where such university or such research center can join. It has to be a formal request from a government, but then there will be a research institute who will represent the country at the meetings. This is the way we organize ourselves. There is a central hub in Almería with a small team dealing with the proposals and the budget, etc., etc. The General Assembly, where there is a political representative and a scientific representative per country. This is the sovereign body, the governance body. And then there is the Board of National Nodes, where all the research institutes interested or involved per country are organized. For instance, in the Spanish node, there are already 11 research institutes involved. Okay, so what to do? What you may be wondering, to do what? Yeah, I would say everything for the research, but without the research. Okay, all these things I like to say to strengthen the cohesion of the CST research community. For instance, organize the provision of access to external parties. This is, remember, this is one of the conditions established by the European Commission to give us the label. To coordinate the members' research infrastructures, principally to avoid duplication, to avoid that several partners at once build the same facility, okay? To reinforce links with the industry. There is let's say, a wake industry right now, but there must be a strong liaison with the researchers to boost the technology, to potentiate the development of protocols and standards, for instance, and dissemination activities, training for industry, dissemination of results and good practices for the general public in general, etc. We also fund small projects in the order of 45,000 euros, or will fund access activities with our own funds, always trying to, increase the cohesion of the community. This is just a few words about the project Solarize, because as we are, let me say this, a child of the European Commission, the Commission helps us to survive and to grow. Then we have the project Solarize, funded by the Commission, with all the parties, all the partners already in or potentially in. You see, from Turkey, from Italy, the 12 parties from all the Mediterranean basin, and we will simply grow as a single entity. Potentiate the development of new standards, training of staff, identification of hybrid approaches. We will designate an industrial liaison officer to potentiate this facet of the work. Seek for new members of the ERIC. Set up an infrastructure for sharing data. Develop a joint strategic research agenda. Promote international cooperation, with Australia, the US, China, Mexico, Chile, CSP countries around the world, training activities, etc., etc. So at the very end, in short, the intention is to reinforce the CST community in the same vein than former projects like the Sfera projects, but with a long-lasting perspective, because we are not a project. We don't have a starting date and a finishing date. We have many years ahead of us. So summarizing, I will finish soon. We are not a project. We are not either a network. It's a long-lasting consortium of countries under European legislation specifically created for entities like us. The members are the countries, but there used to be a leading research institute per country. Full members contribute a 20,000 euro per year fee, but observers can join and spend 2 years participating at zero cost, just for 2 years. So we can apply to Horizon Europe calls. We already got 4 projects in these 2 years. And remember, it's all about research infrastructures. It's focused on internal coordination, delivery of services, capacity building, development of common testing procedures and tools, policy making, etc., and much more to come because we just started. Thank you for your attention. You have questions, these are the contact parameters, and thank you very much.